Okay, let's get started. So we're going to talk today about using BloggerBridge specifically to prepare for speed networking, and we're looking at two different speed networking opportunities that are coming up, one at TBEX Asia and one at TBEX North America. They both will be using BloggerBridge in a similar way. We're going to look at just one of them today just for simplicity. And that is just the only part of BloggerBridge we're really going to focus on is just to get you ready for speed networking. If you're a company and you're interested in more information about BloggerBridge, just contact me and we can get you more information about how it gets used the other 263 days of the year when we're not using it for speed networking. So as we do this demo, I'm going to be playing both parts. I'm going to be playing the role of a blogger and I'm going to be playing the role of a company. So I've actually got two different browsers up here. One of them is a company and then one of them is a blogger. And what you will see when we turn on speed networking, and the plan is to turn it on in the morning Pacific time on Monday. So that's Monday the 14th. We'll be turning on speed networking for both events at the same time. You're going to have, if you're attending TBEX North America, you'll have a TBEX 2005 tab up here. If you're attending TBEX Asia, you'll have a TBEX Asia 2015. You'll have an TBEX Asia 2015 tab up there. If you don't see either of those tabs, then you are not registered. At least you are not registered with the account you logged in as. Let's talk a little bit about logins first here. Let me log out. Say when you go to the speed networking, you can save yourself some trouble. We're actually not doing this on the live BloggerBridge server. We're doing it on the dev server because I didn't want to turn on speed networking to do the demo. So occasionally you'll see things that are just slightly different because we're on a dev server. Try and point those out or blithely step past them. So, but the URLs, for instance, are going to be different. So don't pay any attention to that. But you're going to want to go to tbex.bloggerbridge.com. If you go to bloggerbridge.com and you log in, that's fine. If you click the tab that says TBEX 2015 or TBEX Asia 2015, it will redirect you back to tbex.bloggerbridge.com and you will have to log in again. There's a different login for tbex.bloggerbridge.com than there is for bloggerbridge.com. Same passwords, just the cookies that keep track of logins are different. So as you log in, if you don't know your password, so everybody who registered for the event as of a week ago are already in the BloggerBridge system, and you're in the BloggerBridge system with whatever email you registered for the event. And so if you don't know the password, if you've never been in BloggerBridge before, just type in your email here and do forget your password, hit that information there, give us your email that you're registered with, and reset password instructions, and we'll send those off to you. If you have any trouble with that or anything else in BloggerBridge, down here at the lower left-hand corner is chat with BloggerBridge. If it says chat with, that means I'm online, and you can chat with me, and we'll try and fix it right away. If it says contact, I'm offline, and you can send me an email, and we'll deal with those as quickly as we can. So the first thing you would want to do is on Monday, make sure you can log in, or make sure you can log in today or tomorrow. Is fine, and then we can deal with any of those issues before we get ready. But I'm going to log in. I'm going to log in as my Blogger account here. So we're going to show you, let me show you this first of all in terms of as a blogger, when you log in, since we've got more bloggers in the room than companies, you're going to get this information, which is the profile. If you have not logged into BloggerBridge before, this is going to be fairly terse. You at least want to put in here a bio, but there's up here will be a tab that says get started if you still have a lot of things that are left to fill out on your profile. But let's start with update profile. When I update my profile, I get a place to put in my bio, put in information about you. Try not to say, hey, when I'm at TBEX, just be aware at least that if you put TBEX specific information in there, BloggerBridge does get used past TBEX. So what we're looking for here is a description of who you are and what you do. There's also a place to describe your different blogs. If you have more than one blog, you can describe them, and there's a description for those as well. but make sure that your name is correct, your About Me has whatever information you're looking for, and think about how this information will make you stand out from other bloggers. What is important about you? What awards have you won? How do you differ from somebody else? What kind of skills do you have? Whatever things that you think will make you stand out. Doesn't have to be longer than a couple paragraphs, but put that information there. You can put in your address if you want to. That does not show up. It is decent. It is a good idea to put in your location. If you are traveling, there's also a schedule part, and we'll look at that in a second. But here's my profile. Am I logged in as me? Hang on a second. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay. And then also I have my social media following. So here's basically, if you go into the social media page, you can add in a new account if you don't have all of your accounts in there. We do keep the numbers for YouTube accounts, Twitter accounts, Pinterest accounts, Instagram accounts, Google Plus accounts, and Facebook pages. Right now, we don't report numbers on Flickr or Skype or LinkedIn or Facebook profiles. Facebook profiles, their API, their application programmer interface, does not report to other people how many followers you have. So you can put in your personal Facebook profile, but it is not going to say how many followers you have. That's a question I'm going to get asked. If you were expecting to come in here and find that your account is not enabled for TBEX, or if you come in here and your account is blank and you know you signed up before into BloggerBridge, what that means is you've used two different emails. You will be signed up to Speed Network only with an account using the email that you registered with TBEX. If you're a blogger, actually, if you're registered, you should have gotten an email from me today that says this is the email that you used to register for TBEX. Our number one issue that we always run into is people saying, hey, I used a different email, or hey, why isn't it showing up? Number one answer is you're using a different email. Okay, so add in here any social media networks that you want to show up in your profile. Then in here in blogs, you can have multiple different blogs. And one of the things you can do with your blog is, besides a description, you can also give us your Google Analytics numbers. Go here to, if you haven't authorized Google Analytics, it'll say authorize Google Analytics. Click that, follow the instructions, and we can show those to companies. And then also don't forget to tag your blog. Down here at the bottom, edit lets me edit the description of the blog. Edit tags lets me put information about what my blog is about. And you can put in a limited number of tags. I think right now the limit is 20. And so if I go over here to blogs, edit tags, it's going to bring up a large selection of tags, both places as well as site topics. Make sure you have some site topics in here. Oh, I guess we don't have as many questions. I'm going to have to, so click the plus to see all the different things. For the TBEX version of this account, the only site topics that are enabled are travel. If you go over and edit your blog tags in bloggerbridge.com, same password, same email, then you'll see a lot more topics that will show up. But TBEX, we limit that just to travel. Going back to here, your schedule. This is less critical for TBEX, but the number one way that bloggers get found right now in the BloggerBridge system is to have their schedule in there. We have companies who are looking for where you're traveling to next, and will reach out to bloggers and say, hey, I see you're traveling to. So for instance, last summer, I was traveling to Washington, D.C. to see my daughter, and I actually just authorized my TripIt account. At the bottom, you'll see authorized or unauthorized TripIt, depending whether you have done that or not. If you see authorized TripIt and you click that and you have either a free or a pro TripIt account, we can synchronize our schedules with the TripIt schedules that you can use. So go to tripit.com, get a free account, and basically if you just send an email once you book a trip to plans@tripit.com, and then wait till the wee hours of the morning Pacific time, we will contact TripIt every day, find out if you have new trips, and update your schedule automatically. But again, that's not going to be quite as important for the speed networking as it will be for later on. And then you also do have the ability to put in here examples that say, this is These are articles I've written. These are hotel reviews I've done. Whatever you want to, you can put in your own categories. So if you look at a new web page, it says what category do you want to be in. You can make up your own categories. What's the title, what's the URL, and what's the description. And then that looks like this. Category, title, URL, click here, and then these have descriptions. That's how that looks. The other thing you've got is products. So in here, if you click on my products, you can see that I can say, for instance, I do want my profile to be visible to other bloggers at TBEX Asia, and I don't sell site links, but I do everything else in there. Pause here for a second. Questions on updating your profile as a blogger? Should the TBEX 2015 tab already appear there? No. The TBEX 2015 tab or the TBEX Asia 2015 tab will not show up until morning a.m. Pacific time Monday. That's when I will be turning on both. If on Monday by, say, 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, you do not see that tab, then you're not logged in with an account that is registered for the system or that I know is registered for the system. If you register at the last minute, there is some delay because I have to. BloggerBridge is not TBEX. I work with TBEX, but I have to get their registration information and we have to import it manually. How does someone who is just getting started literally get started? So if you are just getting started, we have already created a profile for you if you're a blogger or if you're a company, either way. And you just need to fill out more information. If you're a blogger, look to the upper right and there will be a Getting Started tab, and just walk your way through that checklist and do the things that we just walked through here as well. But if you go through that Getting Started tab, it'll give you a checklist literally, and if you do those things, that'll help. And then if you run into any questions, remember down at the lower left-hand corner, get support and find out if you run into any problems. Can we merge two accounts if we use two different emails? If you use two different emails, use the contact button down in the lower left-hand corner. Tell me what the problem is, and yes, I can merge the two different accounts. If you have, the other thing we should say, two accounts, there are some people who are coming as a couple. Basically, each attendee gets a different schedule in BloggerBridge for speed networking. Now you can only use one of those schedules, schedule everything on one account, and then go together if you want to, or you can split up. It doesn't matter. As long as you have two different registrations, you get two different schedules. And we'll look at schedules in a minute, but I just want to see if we've got any other questions on profiles before we get to that. Carmen says, is there a way to upload PDF examples? No, not at this time, but you can link to them if they're on your website. So if you have those on your website, just add them to your examples and add them in as a link to wherever they are. When are the companies listed? When are the companies listed to meet with? Are they live now or on Monday? They are live on Monday, but I'll show you, for instance, for TBEX North America, that list in just a couple seconds. If I register for myself and my business partner, all using one email address. Yeah, if you registered using one email address, you only get one account. So you need to make sure that you talk to TBEX and straighten that out and get a second account in there. And then when we update the registration, we'll get the second one in here. But that one needs to go through TBEX because I can't tell who's registered and who's not except what I get from them. How can they register? So get that corrected with TBEX. I still haven't launched my blog, but I'm attending the conference to get really familiar with industry. Do you think speed networking is for me? Probably not. And I say probably not because there are fewer slots for speed networking than there are attendees. And so in general, I wouldn't recommend that companies meet with you. Nothing personal, but there's just limited time. A company is going to have basically 24 different slots, and you're probably not the best use of their time right now. But there's still all sorts of great reasons to go, and you can still talk to the companies in all of the parties and all of the networking that happens in the building. Still, definitely a good idea to go, but probably not with the speed networking. Can we have separate profiles for each of us? Yes. If you have two different attendees, you can have two different profiles. That you get one profile per registration. Even if you have the same blog, don't go ahead and enter it in there twice, once for each profile, that is. Or is it one profile that we go to separate? You can either, if you're a couple or a business partners or whatever, you can either, and you have two registrations, you can either both go to separate meetings, or you can go together. If you go together, just use only one of the schedules so you don't get confused. I appreciate your honesty. Sorry about that, Celia, but yeah. Okay. Any other questions on profiles? And then we're just going to start getting into the companies, and then we're going to get into scheduling. Companies are going to be simpler. I'm going to switch over here to my company tab or my company user. So this is the company, and the company here is BloggerBridge. And by the way, BloggerBridge may or may not be registered as a company in speed networking. If it is, it's simply to see how many of you are really trying to meet with every single company without looking at in any detail. And because I really won't be meeting with people during speed networking, but I might have it turned on just to see. So with the company profile, there is a less to do. So with a company profile, really all you need to do is upload a real logo. If I go into edit company, I can browse for a file on my system, put in a logo, preferably square. We will size it, but preferably square. It's going to work better. And then put in a description here, my URL and my name. That's really what we're expecting. For a company, if there are specific people that you are looking for, or skills that you're looking for, or things that you are not looking for, this is a great place to say. If you say in here, we are really looking just for people who do luxury travel, and somebody sends you an invitation, we'll look at the invitation system in a minute, and they're not luxury, feel free to decline them. You have my permission, especially if you said in your description, this is what I'm looking for. I expect the bloggers to read the descriptions of the companies before they send them an invitation. I'll say that again, bloggers, I expect you to read the descriptions of the companies before you send them an invitation. Make sure you're not wasting your time or theirs. Okay. Companies, any questions on your profile? It's very simple. What's your name? What's the URL? What's the description? Preferably what you're looking for, and also your logo. Yeah, okay. Not hearing any questions. Go ahead and ask. If you have more questions on blogger profiles or on company profiles, go ahead. But let's go back. We're going to do this in the opposite order here. So now I'm a company. You as a blogger, this is useful for you to know. This is what a company will see. Companies like bloggers have a schedule. And the way the schedule works for speed networking is there's 12 slots at 2 different days. And here are the times for the slots. There's one slot here. So I'm right now logged in for TBEX North America. If I was logged in for Asia, it would look the same, except the dates would be different and the times would be different. But then there is the company from that tab will have a travel bloggers tab, and they will see all of a search engine that lets them find travel bloggers that they want to meet with. Companies, there is a tab here in mine that says travel industry professional. You will not have that unless you are already a premium member of BloggerBridge. That's only for premium members who happen to be attending TBEX. So don't worry about that. You won't see that. So if I go in here to travel bloggers and I say I'm looking for travel bloggers who will meet with companies at TBEX 2015, that's the default. I can also go in here and say I'm just looking for people who accept guest posts or participate in press fam trips. Bloggers, that was the products you're entering. So these over here correspond to these over here, the product list. And again, I edit the product list from my profile, update my products. So my products show up on this list. Or I can look for blog topics. Again, for the TBEX speed networking, we're limiting just to the travel topics. If I was in the regular BloggerBridge interface, I would see family bloggers in here. I would see political bloggers. I would see a variety of things as well. And I would also get a chance to find more people. So if I search right now, I'm searching for all travel bloggers who are coming to TBEX who are willing to meet with companies. And I find 31 pages of them at 10 bloggers a page. So roughly right now we have about 210 bloggers. Based on where we are a month out, that usually both the number of companies that you see when I go to the company page later on and the number of bloggers, both will probably double. That's just usually the way that the registrations work for TBEX. I don't know why people are so last minute, but that is what I have seen in the past. So we're going as a company, but 2 people should register as 2 profiles. Yes, you can register with 2 profiles, and I'll show you in a second when we look at schedules how to make sure you can have 2 schedules as well. That's a very simple thing to do. So if right now I'm a company and I'm looking for bloggers, and so I can go in here, I can look at all bloggers and I can sort that by, let's say that I sorted by social media followers. I'm looking for people who are popular on social media, and I click the search again. I can see, for instance, that Bruce Murray is got more followers than anybody else. He's got an ungodly number of followers, and then Tammy and Julie and a number of different people down here. Or I can filter that. I can say I'm just looking for, and I sort this anyway, but I can also filter and say I'm really interested in people who in their bio said something about scuba. I have no idea whether there are any bloggers in here. Yes, there's some bloggers here. There's 2 bloggers at least who in their profile specifically mention scuba. Scuba. So that's one of the reasons you have a profile, so you can be found in those things. Or I'm specifically looking for just women bloggers who are adventure travel bloggers. And then I'm going to sort that not by social media, but by monthly page views. And I can go in here and I can quickly see that Tammy again shows up because she's got adventure travel. So if I want to invite Tammy, I can just go here and click invite. I'm going to invite somebody else. Nothing against Tammy. Tammy's a very nice person. But I'm going to go here and search for men just for a second because I'm going to show you what this looks like when I invite somebody. Here's a really nice looking guy here, Chris Christensen. So I'm going to invite myself just to show you what this is going to look like. So it says invited. So you'll notice over here, invitations extended. This now shows me a list of all the bloggers I have extended an invitation to. Invitations received. This is all the bloggers who have invited me. Now, if I go back over here to my profile and click on the TBEX 2005, you can now see the invitations received. I have received an invitation from this BloggerBridge guy. So at this point, it would be good for me to learn out more about him. Oh, that should be clickable. There it is. Yeah, click on the icon here, find out more information about him. That sounds kind of interesting. So yes, I want to meet with him. But if you don't, if it doesn't sound interesting, go ahead and decline. You can also go in here and send them a message and say, hey, I saw that you invited me, but I'm really only meeting with people who have large chunks of money. No, I'm only meeting with people who do more luxury travel or so whatever it is that you're doing. But I'm going to accept this invitation. So a blogger can invite a company, or a company can invite a blogger. Whoever receives the invitation and accepts it gets to do what I'm doing here, which is schedule it. I am seeing a combination of my schedule and the company schedule. Well, of course, they're both blank right now, so I have complete open, but there may be times that by the time I get this, there is no meeting time available that matches between me and the company, in which case I'm not going to be able to accept that invitation. I haven't accepted it until I've chosen a slot. And once I've chosen a slot, that company now shows up on my schedule for the first day, which is where I put it. And then similarly, if I go back over here to the company's schedule, I show up on their schedule. Now, there was a question earlier about if you're coming as 2 people and you want separate profiles. If you're a company, companies are allowed to have 2 different chairs, 2 different people. Well, you can have more than 2 people at your table. They're not large tables, but you can have 2 different bloggers at a time. If you're bringing a second person, then click Add Chair here, and you now have 2 slots. Now you can see that I only did it for the first day because maybe that person is leaving on the second day. But if I want to add it for both days, I need to click both days. Now I have 2 different slots at every time slot to meet with somebody. If that other person you're coming with is cancels because they can't make it at some point, and you want to go back to one, you can remove the chair, but you can only remove it once there is no conflict. If I had 2 different people here at 3:30, I would have to decline one of them before I could remove that chair. I have to make my schedule make sense. The system doesn't know which of those 2 people you would want to meet with. So if you ever do need to remove the chair, be aware that you have to be able to have your schedule squash. And again, if you have any questions about this later on, you forget what I said, go down here to the online support and ask me a question. Did that answer your question about if you're coming as 2 people, register as 2 profiles, and then either one of you could go in here and add that chair. Missed where to create a company profile for all blogs. We will create a company profile, but when you go in, you will go to my profile and then click on your company link and do edit company. And that's where you will edit the profile after we've created it. For instance, that's where you can put in something other than a generic company logo. Okay, you already figured out the answer. Okay. I've lost my train of thought. Question. Let me pause here for a second. Questions on the basic scheduling. Oh, I showed you only part of that. As a blogger, you will have a list of companies. So you will have the schedule here, which will show what appointments you have. You can also, and this goes back to you, Celia, for instance, if you want to connect with other bloggers, if you're interested in meeting up. So for instance, I'm a podcaster, so I could go in here and say, who else has mentioned podcast in their blog, and as a blogger you can't invite them, you can't schedule things, but I can send them a message. I basically can say, oh, Lou's coming, well, that's good to know. And then I don't know Sandra or Stan, so I could send Sandra or Stan a message and say, hey, I see you're going to be there. I can't set a speed networking appointment, but I could say, do you want to get together for coffee or look me up at the first party or whatever. Hey, I see that you do something like I do. And you don't get the same level of search as a company does. For instance, I can only say somebody is attending. I cannot say somebody who takes guest posts. And then I can say I'm just looking for business travelers, for instance, but you'll notice I can't sort by anything that is not public information. I can't sort by their Google page views. I can't sort by anything that you wouldn't be able to figure out through some research. You can figure out their Alexa rank, which is a estimate of their traffic or where they rank on the internet. One is the most popular site on the internet, and this site, my site, is 208,000th most popular site on the internet, roughly, give or take, 100,000 or so. Alexa rank is only useful really for how many digits it has. A site that's at 10,000 is much better than a site with the 200,000, but it is an estimate of traffic based not on Google Analytics or something more real, but it is something that is publicly available, so you can find it out here. DA, domain authority, is a ranking of every site of the internet from a scale of 0 to 100 of how authoritative that site is in terms of how many links, for instance, go in. So if you look here on my page, you'll see that there are 5,000 quality links coming into the site, and therefore that gave me a higher Moz domain authority. Again, that is something you can know publicly for any blog on the internet, and so we do tell you that in the travel bloggers search section. But then the one you really care about is this companies list. These are the list of currently companies that are signed up for speed networking in TBEX North America. Again, I expect this number probably to double between now and when the event happens. We will keep adding companies. They will keep signing up. Maybe it'll only go up by 50%, but expect it to go up. And also, hopefully, you'll see people come in here and change their generic company logos. Most of these companies have not logged in yet. And just so you know, some companies won't actually go in and set a schedule. Some companies won't get around to it until the day before. We will nag them, but if you send an invitation and you don't hear anything back, it might be because they wanted to meet with somebody else, but it also might be they just haven't gotten around to it. And typically it's the latter. We actually have an event or a talk at both TBEX Asia and TBEX North America, where I will go through some of this all over again for people who the day of the speed networking have still not gotten around to it. So, or who just registered. We will have companies who will register the day of the event. We had at least 2 or 3 companies in Mexico who registered that morning. So just so you know. Sorry to repeat the question. Is there a way for a couple or pair of business partners to share one profile across 2 people, yet set up different networking meetings for each partner? No. No, not really. In the sense, Mike, that if you have one profile, then you have one schedule. Sorry, let me bring up a Blogger schedule here. Now, you can decide amongst yourself that I'm going to, I'll go to this one, you go to that one, I'll go to this one, you go to that one, but you would still only have one meeting per time slot if you have one profile. If you're registered with a business partner, with a spouse, significant other, whatever, and you have two registrations, you can have two schedules. You don't have to, but you can. No one is required to do speed networking. There aren't enough slots that everybody will be able to anyway, just so you know. Let's talk about, for a second, let me get through some of these questions. What do you suggest people do if the schedule is booked for the person you are trying to connect with? You can send them a message and see they could potentially cancel something, or more likely you can say, hey, can we get together some other time? There is plenty of time for networking at the event as well, or even the day before, the day after. So yeah, if you see somebody you really want to talk with, use the messaging system to send people information. Okay, let's talk about, you have at a speed networking, I don't know if you notice the times here. It says 3 o'clock, and then the next one is 3:10. What that really says is we were going to ring a bell at 3 o'clock, and then again at 3:08. At 3:08, we expect you to be done, to stand up and walk to your next appointment and sit down. Please, please, please try and be prompt, because there's somebody waiting for that person. If there are, some companies won't schedule any events, and some companies won't have a full schedule. If no one is sitting at a company, we will probably announce, this is up to TBEX, but usually they do say if they don't have an appointment, you are welcome to meet with them. And then there will also be other times outside of speed networking where the companies will be sitting at their tables, and there'll be time to meet with companies, even if you don't have a speed networking event, or even if you're just a new blogger and you want to find out what it is they're looking for in bloggers. That's the kind of thing that you can do outside of speed networking too. So, but think of that 8 minutes. And so because you have 8 minutes, prepare for what you're going to say. Let me talk to the bloggers first. So you are pitching. There are hundreds of bloggers and dozens of companies. So you are standing out in a crowd. You're trying to stand out in a crowd. So what is your elevator pitch? What is it about you that is different? What is it that you want them to remember? Because you're not going to sign a deal. You're not going to get a free press trip. You're not going to get paid work during the 8-minute meeting. You're going to establish whether you are somebody who is worth following up with. And so you want to make an impression. You want to come in knowing what you can about what their company does, knowing what you can about what they're looking for, and then how that relates to your audience and what you can offer them. If you can be as specific as possible, I see you do this. This is what I'm pitching you. That's going to leave a better impression. And then obviously, know what it about you is different. Are you really strong in social media? Do you have great engagement in your blog, even if the numbers are low? Or do you have a specific niche that is very important, like a luxury travel blog that's going to be more important to some companies? Have you won awards? What is it about you? Lead with that. Consider that you have 4 minutes or less to pitch. Think about pitching in 2 minutes. And then similarly for the companies, you want to think about what you're going to want from bloggers, what kind of information you're going to want from them, what you're looking for, what is your story to bloggers. Think about roughly 4 minutes of pitching one to another. Does that make sense? Do you recommend bloggers send a message to everyone they are requesting a meeting with to explain why I'd like to meet with them, or do companies just expect an invitation only? I do send a message. In fact, sometime when I get around to it, I'm going to change the system so that there is a message that goes with the invitation, but I didn't get around to it this time. So I think it's not a bad practice to say ahead of time. Now, when you sit down, so let me go over here to the companies page. You should know companies that down here at the bottom, it says print version. And you can have a printed version of your schedule that shows a picture of everybody you're meeting with, their basic information, some of the key statistics, and then even a QR code that if you scan it with your cell phone with a QR code reader will take you directly to their primary blog. So you will have that if you print that out with you at the event so that when somebody walks up, you can say, oh, Chris. So for bloggers, because of that, your photo on your profile should be your photo. Even if you're a couple, I would recommend that the profile photo be one person. The blog photo could have a separate photo, could be two of you, but I would recommend that the face be there and have it be a headshot like this so that's fairly easy to identify you. Not your logo, but your face. But yeah, think ahead of time about what it is you want to get out of this, both blogger and company, before you go, and you're going to have a more productive event just in general. And that's true for speed networking. It's also true for who do you want to connect with at the parties, at afterwards, at the after hours, or whatever. Just think about what it is you're trying to get out of this event is always a good thing in terms of getting something out of the event. I assume more companies will continue to register closer to the date. Yes. Again, I expect to see 50% to 100% more. I didn't, and I'm showing you North America, just so you know, this is the first TBEX Asia. And so you should expect to see, hang on, I'm in the wrong browser. I have to remember whether I'm looking as a blogger. I would expect to see about half this number of companies when we turn on Monday for TBEX Asia. And again, I expect it to grow, but there will be fewer companies in TBEX Asia. It is the first time. It's going to be relatively new. There will be fewer people there, fewer companies involved. It usually happens that way the first time. TBEX Europe, the first time that it happened was less than the US. So more companies continue to register. Do you recommend we just keep checking back in or will be notified? You will not be notified. You will be notified only when you get an invitation. Oh, I didn't show you that, but over here in my email, when I got an invitation, you did get an email, and the email looks like it always comes, and this is an important safety tip here, it always comes from admin@bloggerbridge.com. So you can reply to this email. You'll be replying to me. So that is not what you need to do. It says, so that's the one I got when I am now scheduled. This is the company one that I got. This is what I get with, hey, you received an invitation from this company. If I click here, I see more information of the company. BloggerBridge would like to meet with you during the sessions. I can accept the invitation or decline the invitation by clicking the link in the email. So Robin, yeah, we won't send you information when more companies register. You'll have to check in periodically. Are you passively just waiting for invites? You can invite companies as well, remember. And you can also, as a blogger, you can also go in there and see whether you want to use the travel blogger search to have other meetings, maybe with people you could partner with. Again, outside of speed networking. These are very important tips. Thank you. Questions? We're starting to wind this down. What have I forgotten? What do you not understand? Oh, follow up. The other thing I should say is if you want to stand out, either as a company or as a blogger, don't let the time that you talk be the end of the conversation. It should be the beginning of a conversation. Follow up, exchange business cards, follow up within a week and say, here, I want to remind you of what we talked about. I'd love to learn more about whatever. We will keep up the information that is the companies you met with only for a week or two afterwards, and then we will close it down. So you need to keep track. If you're a blogger, you need to keep track of that information because you won't be able to come in to BloggerBridge and find that. If you're a company, actually, we will turn that into a list for you. So which is a feature of the system that gets used outside of BloggerBridge, where you can have lists of bloggers. So we will create a list of bloggers that you met with. It will be something like bloggers I met with at TBEX Asia 2015, and it will be a list of bloggers here. You will not have access to that, though, unless you have a premium account. And I think many of you are getting a premium account for 1 to 3 months afterwards. But just keep track of it. But for instance, from the list, you can do an export. You can export that as an Excel spreadsheet. That's one of the general features. This tool is amazing. Thank you. We get very good feedback from companies and bloggers that they find it generally pretty easy to use. We've had people come in and with no training from me, learn how to use the system in an hour and schedule all these things or meet with bloggers in general. Is there a webinar tomorrow night the same as tonight? No, the webinar is not tomorrow. The webinar tomorrow, sorry, is a repeat of this webinar. You can come tomorrow also if you want to, but you will hear me say the same things. There is no part 2, unless maybe I could sell you a part 2, but I don't have a part 2. That's a poor business model. I should have come up with a part 2 and made it a closed membership or something like that. Will BloggerBridge be available to companies after the event? For how long? So BloggerBridge is available in general as a paid product. If we go out here to let me go to the. If you log out of BloggerBridge, you can see more information on the BloggerBridge homepage about the BloggerBridge, including a couple other webinars on the, not the TBEX.bloggerbridge.com, but the bloggerbridge.com. You can see information about BloggerBridge in terms of what we do, as well as the pricing at the bottom, some of the features that we do. We got a few minutes. Actually, let me mention just 2 of them. I'll just mention 2 features that we do that are available. If you were to log in to BloggerBridge, not into BloggerBridge for speed networking, but BloggerBridge in general, as a blogger, it's going to look pretty much the same. So filling out your profile is going to be the exact same thing. The only difference is there won't be that tab there anymore. As a company, the search feature will be similar, except that the number of topics now include lots of things that are not travel. And there are also some things like I can search bloggers' schedules for, or who is home based. I can look for people, for instance, who are in New York City, and in New York City specifically on a given date. So if I look at for New York City, for instance, you can see that I can find bloggers who are both based within 50 kilometers of the geographic center of New York City. I could have given an address as my, but I'll also find, for instance, Mark Beattie is coming in from London. Now, the reason I know that is that Mark has given us his schedule. And so that's one of the features in BloggerBridge is location search. I can say, let me know when a blogger is coming to or within 50 kilometers of San Francisco. And then if somebody schedules a trip to San Francisco, I'll get an email. If someone schedules a trip to Oakland, which is within 50 kilometers, I will also get an email. And so we use that to keep track of where bloggers are going. So you can, for instance, not have to try and fly bloggers around all the time because nobody has money for that, or work with bloggers beyond the 1 or 2 press trips a year that you can afford to do. You can also put in opportunities. And so, for instance, if I go over here as a blogger and I look at my opportunities tag, and as long as you're in BloggerBridge as a blogger, you can look at this opportunity tag today, tomorrow, next week. This is independent of speed networking. These are people who want to work with bloggers and how they want to work with bloggers. You will not see the same list of opportunities that I have. Some of these opportunities will be filtered, only available to bloggers with a certain gender, or a certain page views, or a certain number of Twitter followers, or a certain Moz domain authority. For instance, I can see one of these that is limited to blogs that are high profile blogs. And you can do that as a company over here. With the opportunities, you can add in a user filter, which again looks just like search and lets you say, I'm only interested in making this opportunity public to people who have at least 10,000 podcast downloads a month rather, or who blog about Alaska, whatever. So you as a company, if you have a premium account, you can do that, premium or light account, actually both. With the TBEX sponsorships, many of the TBEX sponsorships include 1, 2, or 3 months of the premium tool. Is the webinar tomorrow the same? Yes, I said that webinar tomorrow is not part 2. It is the same thing over again. Will the BloggerBridge be available to companies after the event? For how long? So we will leave it up only for a week or 2 in the speed networking mode. But for those of you who have premium versions, it will be available for how long you prepaid for that, or you could buy a premium version as well. I thought I got it, but I didn't. Where's the link to create my blog's profile? So we already created your blog profile. If you were in the system when we imported the users a week ago, then you should already be in there. Robin, why don't you ping me on the chat right after we end this, and we can track you down. But you don't need to create a profile. If you do, please create the profile with the email that you use for TBEX. If you do create a profile and use that email, it won't be a problem. We will make sure that next time we import, that profile will be turned on for speed networking. But I need TBEX to tell me who is registered, so that has to come from them. Please encourage companies to put in their profile what they want to get out of the meetings. Yes, please, companies, please tell us what you want to get out of the meetings. Last year, many companies had a brief description, but it wasn't clear how they wanted to work with bloggers. What she said, what Tamara said, yeah. And similarly to the bloggers, again, use your profile. Tell us what's unique about you. Mike, how long can we access this after the event? Again, as a blogger, forever, but not the speed networking event. That's the one tab that will go away in about a week to two after the event. And can we export companies and contacts we make, or messages, etc.? Messages, those will still be in the system afterwards. We don't have any export features for bloggers. We only have export features for companies at this time. How long does it take for social media numbers to update after you first add them? We update them immediately, and then we only update them once a week. Whenever you look at your social media page, or whenever anybody looks at your social media page, any number that has not been updated in a week, we update. So you're always looking at numbers that are fresh. If you see anything that doesn't appear to be that case, let me know, but that should be the case. Is a tool available for bloggers? Is that tool available to bloggers with a free account? And I missed the question, Mike. Is which tool available to bloggers? So bloggers with a free account, well, bloggers only have free accounts. There's only free blogger accounts. So what bloggers will get, the TBEX tab if you're registered for the account, and then you'll have in here opportunities. You'll also have projects if you're working on a project with somebody. Projects have workflow, and then that's it. You don't get search as a blogger. You only get to see what opportunities companies are offering for you. And there is, by the way, there is by default, once you have logged in, we'll put you on the newsletter. Some of you got a copy of that this week for the first time. You can take yourself off by going to your profile and saying update my profile and clicking off the subscribe to newsletter, or you can unsubscribe to the whole system. If you unsubscribe your email to the whole system, you come out of search. You can't be found. Is it better to not get overzealous accepting appointments because new companies will be joining later? Well, that's an interesting question, Nancy. I don't know. I would say if you're interested in meeting with the company, you should accept an appointment and not assume that somebody else is coming later. But don't just accept appointments for the sake of accepting appointments. But yeah, I don't know that there's one answer to that question. If a company has only a TBEX account for BloggerBridge but would like to extend to a pro account, will all information already be in the original be transferred over to the pro account? Yeah. We'll keep track of all the information from TBEX in your pro account. So in the pro account too, just so you know, you would have more tabs here for a blogger. If I go to, let's just find me. I don't mind. So if I find a blogger here with the pro account, I can keep notes on a blogger for my company. I can also review a blogger so that other companies can see how we have worked with that blogger. So you can rate them 1 to 5 stars, 3 being they did exactly what we said they should do. It was a fine experience. We would do it again. 4 being, oh my gosh, that was such a great experience. And 5 being, you have to work with this blogger. And 1 obviously being the opposite of that. So how do we ping you afterwards? So ping me afterwards with a chat with BloggerBridge right there. You can also send me email, by the way. You got an email from me, admin@bloggerbridge.com. And trust me, many of you will send me email. If you reply to the email that comes from BloggerBridge, you are replying to me. You are not replying to the person who sent you the email. There's always a link to click on. The replying to the email replies to me. All right. I will stick around and answer any other questions, but I think at this point, I have no more information to tell you unless it is coming up by questions. All bloggers attending TBEX will have an established account on BloggerBridge. Correct. Yeah. Anybody who is registered. Oh, I should say, if you were a pro registration, you do not get access to BloggerBridge for speed networking. You cannot participate in speed networking unless you sponsor a table. So bloggers can participate. Sponsors who have a table can participate. Pro users cannot participate in speed networking unless they sponsor a table. Just so you know. Nancy, we'll see you in Florida. Robin, glad you found it useful. I'll stick around here until the questions peter out. But thank you all so much for coming.